Good evening, and welcome to
TC and Jake.
I just want to speak directly to anyone who made the joke that Elizabeth Smart ought to have been dancing to Mr. Brightside. I think that's inappropriate. Jake, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you for welcoming me in. That song always made me really uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it's because...
It's about cuckoldry, but I'm making a joke about the first line, not the whole song.
What's the first line?
I'm not doing this with you.
Just do it.
Not doing it for you.
Just
next
say
topic.
It. Just say
Surely
it.
You've got a topic. I see a page full of notes.
I have several topics. It always made me uncomfortable because a girlfriend that I had when that song came out...
Cuckolded you.
At least cheated on me. Mm-hmm. And she really liked that song. And it wasn't until later that I was like, oh, it was also clear.
She's inspired, yeah. If not for
cell.
That, she would not have had the idea planted.
It's like, and I completely forgot about this name until I was reading a bunch of stuff about like Biden first 100 days, which is so stupid.
Can't wait. I think
it's stupid
true.
That you put 100 on it. I just mean, I was reading about his first orders of business.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Cass Sunstein was referenced quite a few times.
One of your faves.
He is kind of. I really like the book Nudge, but this article was, and Matt Brunig might even have been the one that tweeted it, just as far as like the way that the Obama administration worked and how nudging did not work. Mm-hmm. But I felt like Mr. Brightside, girlfriend, cheated on me. Girlfriend really I felt like that was a Sunstein-esque effect.
Yeah.
I thought there was a...
So you're establishing that a lot of his research has been since discredited, but doesn't mean he wasn't on to nothing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's been discredited as much as it is just like...
Yeah, no, just it was not the panacea. Like
not the prescription for that problem.
Yeah, just they seem to think that they could do anything by nudging, and in fact, the universe of things you can do by nudging is very small because it's just a nudge.
But included in those,
if you want to push some folks, now we can talk.
But included in those is getting a 22, 23-year-old to cheat on their boyfriend.
Yeah, fickle group, probably easily nudged in general. 23-year-olds.
Yeah, so let's just do this. Like this one thing I have right at the beginning because it's it's a follow up from yesterday's show. Because I think I kind of pinpointed one of my grievances. Mm-hmm. I think that like it's a Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. I think to watch the inauguration, because like I was thinking like, why does this piss me off? Why does it upset me that every single person I follow is like, it's red carpet time. It's either that or it's what pageantry. We're just all together. We're healing as a country because I
think we're the only two guys,
they
but
put
boy,
on,
I couldn't really take all the talk about the poem.
Well, I mean, all I know about the
boring.
poem is the talk about the poem. Yeah, exactly. Like the only.
Yeah, that's true. No, I did catch 10 minutes of the poem, kind of in the background.
It was more than a 10-minute poem?
I feel like it was a long poem. I could be wrong.
God.
I mean, it was going on for some amount of time as I was walking around doing things. It was a long poem.
If you caught part of the poem and it lasted more than 30 seconds, the poem was too long.
Wasn't the It poem.
That's not a poem.
My heart burns for you, embers, whatever.
I think it is this. It's that...
I mean, the Iliad's a poem, if you think about it, so you can
I mean, technically, what's not? You ever thought about what an island is?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That used to trip me up as a kid. I'm
because they would highlight that Australia is the only island continent, and I'd be like,
I mean, I got a marker. I can show you where.
And I guess I know what they mean, like the, North and South America or, touch. Always bothered me, it doesn't appear I can drive to South America. I don't think I can.
No, I don't know where we are on that whole Panama Canal thing to get you.
Surely there's a bridge over the Panama Canal.
But they blew it up in Team America.
Yeah, that's a movie with marionettes.
You're right. Had you just stopped that, it's a movie.
But in addition.
So I think like with a boxing pay-per-view or something like that, I think to watch the inauguration and definitely to post about the inauguration, you should have had to have voted in every single possible election for the past 4 years. So midterm, obviously, but like your locals.
We are talking school boards. We are talking certainly city council. Propositions. The ones where it's just propositions.
You got to be harassed in the parking lot of a recreation center parking lot. Well, that's the parking lot of a recreation center by both candidates in the flesh.
Yeah.
And they're on your
That's how
tail.
small of a race it is.
Yeah, and then you might have to like volunteer. And you might have to give some cash.
That was so I did go the extra mile last night. I was looking at the long amount of time I had ahead of me and was like, what else am I doing with this? Fuck it. I went and found the Jenna Ryan video.
You find yourself in that spot a decent piece?
I mean, every day, all the time. I went and found the Jenna Ryan video, and the video of our podcast yesterday includes the video. The full actual video. I did.
What a fucking G.
So in the course of doing that, just trying to find where like each part started and stopped, caught a little bit extra Jenna Ryan. And at the beginning, they're like, so you're a big Trump supporter. Did you volunteer? And she's like, well, I'll post a lot.
Yeah. I get these tweets all.
And I don't know. Listen, there's plenty of people that post about left stuff that if you want to know exactly how many block walks they've been on, it's not as many as implied by the posts. I probably haven't been as many as implied by the posts because, got a lot of posts. But, I did.
Nah, but when you grade on a curve, you're still like 90th percentile. Without
I feel fine. But I do think that Trump is probably uniquely beset by the problem that everyone is beset by, but him more so than others, of like, I'm a fervent supporter. So how many hours did you volunteer for the campaign? None.
Yeah, but online, basically locked in stem to stern. So that's my thing, is just
doing my writing.
And there's really no way to issue this doing my writing, to issue this take without sounding haughty. But it's just, I think, a substantial percentage of people who really enjoy the inauguration, they enjoy that because that is the most low investment, ease of access to publish, basically just like candy version of what they consider to be the political system. Like, you can get into the demagoguery, you can get into the reality TV aspect of it, you can get into the, maybe not even reality TV, but like, hell, a lot of it looks like scripted TV, without like doing literally anything else, without caring about literally anything else. Like, you don't have to care about a single policy. You don't have to be willing to have an uncomfortable conversation with a single person. You don't have to be willing to donate a single dollar or a single hour. All you really have to do is watch this bullshit where a bunch of people who do not care about you, rest assured, stand up there and get, flowers thrown at their feet, and then you say, that's awesome, as if they are literally monarchical, title holders, and then you just move on about your business. And it's like, well, I mean, I'm an American. I support unity because I watched the inauguration. And I'm sorry, that irks me. And I'm not saying that's everybody. And in fact, if you listen to this, it's very unlikely you're among that group. But that does seem to me to be the prevailing notion of people that are really stoked on the inauguration. Is just like, it just makes me feel good. It's like, yeah, well, I got 7,000 other things that should make you feel bad, and they're all more important. And they're all something that you could ostensibly do something about.
You want to feel good, abuse opiates.
I would say our position is do not do that.
Yeah, no, I don't use opiates myself, and I wouldn't recommend it for anyone
I think it's like
I know or care
opioids,
about.
right? I don't know the difference. That's like a mademoiselle thing.
You doing okay?
What is don't you find it weird that they say Madam Vice President?
No.
I guess I've just always associated.
Mr. President is a normal enough term.
Isn't that Mrs.? Analogous wise, isn't that Mrs.? Madam to
Doug's
me,
more of a side piece.
Okay. shot at
No,
Doug.
I think that what we're running into here somewhat is the fact that we do have that there is an expectation, certainly among the American population, that we do have a head of state, despite the fact that our government, does not specifically delineate for someone who just does that job.
Right.
That's what the king and queen is doing. And I think that if we had a king and queen, it seems unlikely to me that you would watch their coronation.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But might not
But
have
it
the
would be-
same mix of emotions.
Sure.
Because you're our head of whatever, our head of state and our head of the government, they're the same person. It is we do not have the prime minister and king sort of thing. So you're saying he's got all those fucking prime minister jobs. That's what matters, and you're correct. If you aren't here talking about those, then you're dumb. Or you're wasting my time, you're being annoying, whatever. And when in fact they can show up, they have no other choice but to show up for him to do the head of state things, because that's our only option for that. So the fact that we don't have these delineated
That's a really
roles,
good point.
Yeah, and then I would just say that I think that our interest in government, and this is a haughty way of putting it, but that's okay, is we want ideally the government and the governmental decisions to be an expression of the compassionate intelligence of our society, right? We're all smart people that aren't just hitting over the head each other with clubs, and so we can do better. And yeah, there's just nothing advanced towards that goal by people reading poems and shit. As far as actually treating anyone bad, so that's the frustration for me. I'll happily watch. By the time that they're voting on the thing, it's actually kind of done. But I'd rather watch a vote for the Medicare for All vote. I would happily watch, and if someone wants to read a poem after that, then I'll tell you how much that poem means to me. It's probably a lot. Maybe Third Eye Blind will play. But, just for the guy that, is here to, tell you that what's important is that we all be unified and respect norms. And
No, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to. And I can...
And towards that end, we have to keep the embassy in Israel.
I can already hear...
Jerusalem, not Israel.
The
Israeli embassy should be in Israel. I do agree with that position.
Hot opinion.
Yeah. The American embassy to Israel.
I can sort of already hear myself disagreeing with myself on this with regard to...
masturbatory disagreement.
Well, just in the sense of, you hear whenever it was Hillary with Obama, or yesterday, the representation, conversation, and that a huge public show of the best version of motivation by representation would not necessarily have been achieved if they simply gave him the Dropbox password. So I don't know how to totally balance that. But I feel like 4 years of having, a female minority vice president could absolutely do enough to let people know that representation is real and important, as yesterday happening or not happening in such a public fashion would have, right? I don't know that you need the event. She's going to be the vice president.
Yeah.
You can still tell your kids there's a black, South Asian descendant in that office. I bet you'll still know if we don't have a concert.
Yeah.
I don't know. It
was good to see Garth, of course.
I did not see Garth.
They didn't really let him.
I think he just did one.
Yeah, they didn't let him cook. He just went out and sang Hallelujah. I think it was Hallelujah. I watched yesterday, but I've done mind-altering drugs since then. So
my first LOL from the last days of Trump, first days of Biden was, I did not realize that he had completely revoked the Drain the Swamp EO.
Oh, that's nice.
So you literally write something that prevents the people who are outgoing from becoming lobbyists if they were administration officials within 5 years. You're in office for 4 years. You strike that executive order down.
So pretty much just the Obama people.
It's all it is.
Yeah.
That is the biggest.
I mean, if you left his administration, no, you're
but it's
right.
5 years, right?
Yeah,
so like,
yeah.
You know, the clock is ticking. Like it's like, I don't know. That's the most transparent, naked version of the preservation.
Why
of
do you wait that long? You know,
Right.
Like I figured just the next day he
You
would
might as well.
because I mean that probably would have been covered less than
This executive order should have literally been Abe Simpson.
Yeah.
Because you can just start it again the next day. Like, all right, I got the headlines over it now.
Sure,
everyone
what have you
here's
done to
back
drain
at.
the swamp? Well, I signed that executive order. You revoked it the next day. Did sign it though.
I did sign it. Yeah, that's
The people understand.
That's a banger, dude. I mean, and it's obviously like everyone's thinking it's about his family, but it's not about his family. It's about everybody that worked,
about
for
hope.
him. It's like, look, he's paying it forward to all of his real G's.
What's the equivalent in this scenario of Haley Joel Osment getting stabbed?
Don't have one.
Okay.
Don't have one.
Incomplete analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my other thing was just I've seen a lot of Julian Assange, Eric Snowden stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know what your opinion is on that with regard to not getting a pardon.
Yeah, I'd pardon him if it were me.
I think I would too, but I definitely am a bit perplexed by that issue in general, right? Like, so if you view them as completely objectionable and irredeemable, like you're doing it based on a patriotic, state-based, state-centric thing of anybody who goes against their own government, they cannot be ever forgiven, even if they were doing things that probably help more people than it hurt.
Yeah, the
right?
Assange
So,
one
what's
is
your rubric? I view them as different.
Yeah,
but
the Assange one's way different. And I
think he probably doesn't deserve it.
I'd probably still come down on, I think that I would like to know, I would like to have more transparency in my government, not less, and he was heading towards that direction. But do I want to get bogged down in an impassioned debate with someone about whether or not I think it's okay for him to have, and I mean, anytime, I think that a lot of it's very common for the intelligence services to be like, this cost lives. Well, which ones? We can't tell you. So did it?
Well, also not being all that interested in telling you about any that it might have saved.
Yeah. But the Snowden stuff, I'm feel pretty confident that was not a serious coster of lives. I can't imagine how you would do that more carefully if you wanted to. I never hear process stuff like that. I don't know, whatever. I'm not out there reading a bunch of NatSec blogs, so maybe there's stuff. But I don't know. It seemed to me like he saw something that I agree with him is morally repulsive. I do not want the government to be able to know every time I've typed into a keyboard what I was typing in the course of my entire fucking life. I'm deeply uncomfortable with that. If I found out they were doing that, I would say, guys, I don't think we're allowed to do this.
Right.
Whenever he did, they patted him on the head and were like, yeah, I think we are. And so it was clear that he was not going to be able to. So at that point, it's not just, you can't go back to the point where you didn't know it, I think he might have happily done that. You either have to be complicit in the system and supporting it by your actions and live with that every day for the rest of your fucking life, or you can try to do something. And like I said, I think that he did it as responsibly as was available to him. And I don't know. Did he solve the problem? I'm pretty sure they can still track every keystroke that I go put in my computer, but
But I feel like the difference is, and this is a complete Monday morning quarterback thing.
I just think a president ought to feel that same way.
Yeah, completely. Because I think he, in the case of Snowden, felt like he was fulfilling a moral obligation, whereas I never felt that way about Julian Assange.
Kind of. I mean,
I don't know if it started out that way and became something else, but it never really, to me, became something else with Snowden. But the fact is, neither one of them received pardons. And so, like people do, you compare them to all the people who did. And on the surface, at first glance, you would say that those people did not act. Let's just talk about Snowden first, because Julian Assange isn't even American, right?
Correct.
So
he's Australian.
In the case of Snowden, you would look at that at first glance and say that he acted against the interests of America. But I would say that it doesn't take too much, mental gymnastics to say that the opposite, that he was in fact acting in what he at least thought at the time was the interest of his citizenry. And
I don't even think...
And they pardoned the Blackwater people. That's my point. These people were actually acting under what they viewed as the authorized auspices of the American government and committed murder. This person went outside.
Did you happen to read I'm pretty sure it was David French, the National Review defense of the Blackwater guys? There's no way you did, right?
I might have at the time it came down, to be honest.
It was wild. Because
wild. Exactly.
Yeah.
You retweeted it, and I read it. Yeah. So I did, but it's been
because they go through this whole thing and they're like
a point by point, but
I mean, it's an impressive job of like doing the best you can to construct why it's actually okay that these people just murdered civilians, but it totally leaves out like. So at the point that they're like in the traffic that they're in and like like everything that's going on, like it's kind of to me like, I don't know, that's a tough spot. But they started from like a green zone where they were not going to encounter any trouble, where they were allowed to be, where they're fine. They were under specific orders not to leave it. They did leave it. Once they left it, like the people radioed to them and were like, "Get the fuck back," and they were like, we're driving." Yeah. Like so, there was so much put in place to prevent them from being in the situation that then the National Review's like, "Well, if you're in that situation, I mean, what would you do?" And the other thing is that there were people, and this is not mentioned in the National Review thing. Whenever they fucking like arrived back to the green zone, like members of the party. That did not shoot innocent civilians were like, what the fuck did you just do?
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking insane? Don't, like, so they were horrified. David French sitting in office in Nashville is like, it looks good to me. But fucking, I don't know. I believe soldiers, Jake.
Well, and I think that one is especially damaging because, the average, American, human...
Did we already do that on the podcast? I'm sorry if we did.
No, I think we touched on it. They don't have the time necessarily to unspool the difference between, Project Z or whatever they were calling themselves post, Blackwater rebrand.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those people just assume that's the military. And so, of course, you would throw your weight behind, a pardon of an American soldier in an American conflict, but
the people who would be swayed by that argument is probably going to be swayed by the fact that they used to be soldiers. I assume that they did. I think that all those, at some point you're in the army, and so like.
But I still think there's something to being like, this is a paramilitary for hire organization that probably should garner less sympathy from the populace. But my point is just, I guess you could, and I don't know. I guess you could twist and turn and in your brain find a way that Eric Snowden got people killed without saving them. But I actually know, like, by the pull of a trigger, that these other people...
Edward.
Did I say Eric like 5 times?
Yeah, and it didn't immediately come to me either. I was just kind of like, I think it's Eric, but then it
I think
clicked
I've
in my head
just
just now.
Snowden for so long.
Yeah, and you got the E right.
Yeah.
So, I give you that.
That he didn't directly contribute to that.
Yeah.
This is like A to B.
I mean, you're trying to apply logic to Trump pardons. You're right.
Well, I guess I just figure, and here's the other thing too. Like, you only hear about pardons and commutations at the end of terms. I suppose like Trump actually had a couple pretty notable ones. The Kardashian one. Mm-hmm. Why does that have to be a Hail Mary? Like is there something I don't know about of why
just the heat's off.
That's all it is?
Like, not gonna pardon Mark Rich at the start.
But couldn't you...
That was who it was, right? the name of the guy, or is Mark Rich the Seth Rich is the DNC staffer that they tied WikiLeaks to.
No, Seth Rich is dead.
That's who
Okay.
I'm talking to.
Mark Richt would be a...
No, there's
Okay.
like just a shithead that Bill Clinton parted. I've said the name correctly in the podcast within the last month. So
Yeah, and I thought one of them was related to Hillary.
they had worked together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, you do it at the end because
yeah,
it's
okay,
not
that makes
going
sense.
to
Logically, I should have thought that out. But I would think
ongoing business.
I would think like minor commutations would be something that would not really disrupt your ability to get your COVID bill passed.
Yeah,
or your,
no,
why can't you just like...
Obama would go through in the last, I think like the last year, so certainly not the last week, but I think in the last, several months of he was reviewing like nonviolent sentences and attempting to shorten them.
I feel like you could start that tomorrow.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean,
I do too.
especially if possibly one member of your administration, actually both, has somewhat of a reputation for being a little bit regrettably too tough on crime.
If you want to show
has,
me that you've changed.
and then has walked those things back, to the left, I would say, let's do it right now.
Neither of them hold that position though, dude. Like,
I know.
Joe's like, that crime bill's got a lot that you guys just don't get, and I'm very proud of it. And Kamala's like, my record is awesome. I did what I had to do.
Joe Biden kind of blamed it on the
Deal
Black
with it.
Caucus.
Yeah. Neither of them have the position
They signed it.
of like, I've changed and I'm totally different.
Right.
They're both like, yep, fucking nailed it again.
Yeah.
So anyways, not excited about him. I did have a question I was considering. So I would like you to go through the mental exercise with me. It does. So I think, it was the Washington Post video of the Capitol riots, the one where they were like, using maps to, show you kind of how things unfolded. They were saying that the story I told earlier about the Capitol police officer who he escorted Kamala to the thing. You saw that?
I did.
Okay. I believe that it was Pence that he was drawing them away from.
Yeah.
Like the Pence was
Down
like
that
huddled
hallway.
up right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the mob, I mean, it's a giant mob. I do think that the Jenna Ryan, there was another part of it that we didn't play that I heard yesterday where she was kind of like, the people I saw, they would say like, excuse me as they were going by. That's not violence to me. Mm-hmm. And so I think that does legitimately capture the fact that whenever it's a large group, if you're at a fucking Korn concert and you're in the back, you got nothing to do with the people who are moshing up front. You're not getting any elbows into your teeth. But there are people at that Korn concert getting elbows and teeth. You can best be assured of that. So, who knows if this part of the mob is that part of the mob, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. But let's just say that we really have a bad roll of the dice here. And the people who are chanting hang Pence actually mean it. And that they're the people, as he's going up the stairs and the officer's drawing him away. And that they're like, actually, no, fuck it, I'm going to go this way. And they find him. If they did kill Mike Pence, what do you think happens? Does Josh Hawley get impeached? Is he removed from the Senate?
Man, I haven't even thought about that. Even though it's a fairly not likely, but it was certainly in the range of outcomes that day.
1% chance or higher.
Yeah. I think there's...
It's a little bit of surprise. I think it does illustrate Overton window stuff that's not being discussed now. Because I mean, they did go to the Trump impeachment, but it is kind of, I do think that the way this works is the worse the outcome, the larger the web that's going to get the worst punishment from it. So, we got Trump literally was standing up there telling him, go get him. We're certainly, he's getting impeached. But then, the other people who are like, you should be mad because this is fraud. They are stealing it from you. How would you react if you're going to steal? Just doing a lot of hinting. I think the web of worst consequences then does extend to them if the end result is sufficiently bad.
Yeah, probably. And I don't really know as far as from a technical standpoint, if there's something in the Constitution or in I don't know if there's something where that triggers something that means that Trump's term lasts longer, like some sort of disaster scenario.
I don't think there's any way to make the term longer.
Well,
Although he was constantly referring to the idea.
yeah,
Given
no,
the Russia business, I should get 4 more. This 4 shouldn't count.
but like if we had, let's say, like another scenario would have been like, let's say that Monday, Sunday. I mean, maybe that's too close, and you've already got a lot of people that are in place to do jobs and being confirmed. But let's say instead of the Capitol riot, there was like an alien attack, right? Like
Right
let's
there
use
with you.
the most extreme example we can find. Would the country have figured out a way to be like, look, we just have to settle this down first, get these aliens out of here?
I mean, I think that you just do the. So you remember the Obama, like that Roberts like flubbed one of the lines, so they were like, he's not actually president.
Yeah, and I think some people were saying that yesterday.
They quietly like got Roberts to come to the Oval Office, and they did it again. So all that's really going on in the inauguration, like the only thing, like whenever I would go to church, like as a Catholic in Sunday school, we always wanted to know. We're very interested in like testing the edge cases of what is church. And the ultimate answer was that if you do show up and get communion, you are in good standing.
Okay.
Like if you wanted to just come in, communion, leave, that would count as a church. That's your 5 innings
As
of a baseball
church.
game.
Yeah. So
yeah.
rain delay after.
So you got an hour worth of stuff on either side, hour total, not an hour each. But really, all you need is this little thing. That's the swearing in. If you get the swearing in done, the fact that we didn't get the poem is not going to be consequential to the government.
I understand that, but
So I think that in the case of an alien attack, they would do the swearing in that sometime in the day, and then call it good.
yeah, but I guess my case is just that transfer of power in the middle of like crisis, not this type of crisis where like holy shit that could have gone worse, but like actually.
You saying that you don't think they could get the swearing in? I think they could get the swearing in.
I don't know.
I mean, if it's the like
Zoom.
No, I wouldn't Zoom it, but they both live in D.C. Like, put them both on a plane, dude. Have a fucking helicopter pick both of them up. I don't know. You could figure it out. If it was a high enough priority, and it is, then you could figure it out. Even
If the vice president had been assassinated, I don't know. I think even Biden would have been like, I think we probably need to.
a week? Are you saying that if Pence they'd gotten him on the day?
No, I mean 2 weeks beforehand. I think probably like there's
You think
still such an
that they
insane.
wouldn't do the inauguration?
I don't know, dude. I really don't.
I think they would
don't.
certainly do the swearing in. I mean, like, if anything, they would be more seriously attempting to remove him immediately.
And like to your other question about Josh,
And then Nancy Pelosi would be the president.
yeah,
No matter which way you slice it, dude, Catholics back on top.
I don't know. Like how often do members of Congress get impeached? That has to have happened like a ton of times.
Yeah, I'm sure, but I
A
can't
ton
recall
relative to
a
presidents,
one.
like a couple dozen or something.
I mean, is it? Like, because you can impeach, like, anyone in the federal government, I think, but, like, I think it's, like, they...
Childish word, by the way.
Impeach?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that it happened to a couple Supreme Court guys, like, in the first 50 years of the country. I don't know that it's happened in the Senate a bunch.
Because see, like when you just introduced that concept, I was like, is that something that is...
You can impeach Josh Hawley. I'm positive of that.
Got to bring Woj up to testify.
Yeah. That would be,
you.
yeah. He'd send the email again as the impeachment sailed through.
How do you feel about the prospects for the Patriot Party?
You know, fellow readers of Slow Boring will know that Matthew Iglesias briefly touched on this topic. Yeah, like, it's always kind of looking like that. that they're about to fracture. But whatever it matters, they usually do just figure it out.
I feel like their fracture would work better than ours.
I just think that the smart money is always against the fracture.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, we're talking about somebody
They're both
who's
so unlikely.
been beating smart money and then got 48% of the vote this time.
But lost. So that's not.
But lost. But
his recent track record of beating smart money is considerably worse.
if either one of them decided to do it, don't you feel like the percentage that Bernie could take would be less than the percentage that Trump could take?
Yes.
So
I feel like Trump would take a majority of Republicans.
Me too. And I feel like that's the first time I've ever thought that about a fractured American.
Do you know that
two-party system action?
Perot was leading Bush in the polls at times.
I do.
And Clinton.
Yeah, I do.
Obviously, he was in the lead.
I do.
That was whenever Dan Quayle attacked Murphy Brown. I was listening to the Dan Quayle Murphy Brown You're Wrong About this week.
What happened there?
Murphy Brown, like their big sweeps week thing was that she had a child with an anti-apartheid campaigner, and went not intending to get pregnant by him, and then he was like, "Sorry, babe, it's just too important to me. I got to go back to South Africa," and she was like, "Well, I'm gonna have this kid," and Dan Quayle was giving a speech on the LA riots, which were ongoing or, might have wrapped up a day before or something like that. And, was just kind of laying out why he thought the LA riots happened. He's like, it's the breakdown of the American family. You see it on TV. Murphy Brown having a child out of wedlock.
So it's kind of Roseanne 20 years before its time.
I mean, the other way. I think
it's
Murphy
the other
Brown's
way.
being,
sure.
But TV determining our nation's future. Sure,
yeah.
I think we agree on the importance of Roseanne to this election.
Dude, I had a moment just now when you were talking about, you used the term Murphy Brown, and you were like, Murphy Brown got pregnant by, and I was like, I fucking thought Murphy Brown was a TV show. I was like, is this motherfucker about to tell me that Murphy Brown is a real person?
No.
And interviewed Dan Quayle. And he lashed out at her or something.
I've never seen an episode of the show.
Oh my God.
I don't know what it's all about, except for I listened to the You're Wrong About.
I've seen it. But, you misremember a lot of things as a kid. And I'm like, am I thinking of Sybil?
Fun note from that: George Bush, the senior, as he was looking over the whole LA riots business, wanted everyone to know the Rodney King case rightly decided, in his opinion.
Okay.
So whenever people trot out, don't care about your politics, you just have to respect he is a good man. No, I fucking don't. He thought that it was okay for cops to beat the shit out of Rodney King on tape.
Oh, he's a legal scholar, and he just saw I don't know. I don't have any way to clean that up.
Yeah, no, he fucking sucks. They all suck.
Yeah, I thought about that this morning,
how much they suck.
Well, just we used to talk about this a long time ago. You got to grade on a curve. If I'm
gonna go look up what Biden's comments on Rodney King were.
Don't do it.
I'm gonna do it.
I wish you wouldn't. I think you would be best served to not.
Look for a tweet from me in about an hour.
That was one thing I wanted to. The last thing I had, large topic, was just we were talking about the lameness of the 100 days thing earlier. But just as far as your first,
I think it's an important stretch.
It's kind of interesting just from
that 101st day doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
No,
that's what you need to understand.
No, it's it's week 17 when you have the division locked up.
No, it really does. And you might be about to say this, and if so, I'm sorry for taking your thunder. But you're right that 100 days is a meaningless cutoff. But if you look at the history of presidencies, it's pretty much they got 6 months to enact anything, and then it's just fucking
midterm time.
Yeah, so, and then, once the midterms are, whatever, then you're already in the presidential campaign. Trump passed one major piece of legislation. It was in the first 6 months. Obama was in there for a long time. Obamacare. the only like big thing that was in the first 6 months. Like this is how it goes.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's the way it is, so that's the way they keep doing it, or if it would be
Yeah, I mean, I
possible
would love to see President Sanders, try to pass big things throughout. But yeah, no. If I were the Biden administration, I would not be like, well, what are we going to do? We're past the first 6 months. I would continue to try to do good things to help people, but it's clear your best chance is right now.
So that's what brings us into focus is just the idea that, I think probably 2008 to 2011 did more to change the way that I believed about how this should all work than just about any time period of my life, which is this is not the time for the nerds. We don't need to hear.
Like all time is the time for the nerds.
We don't need a calculator. We don't need to hear about the deficit. We don't need to hear about what we can't do. We don't need to reach across the aisle. We don't need to, just do all of it and be aggressive, be simple, be straightforward. Like these are not things that you need to have to go out and explain to people. Like you're, the professor that Obama sort of came off as is like, look, I can probably explain to you why this is good. It's like, don't even mess with it. Just send big checks.
Yeah, no, illustrative of what you're talking about. The big thing that the People's Policy Project has been pushing is the child allowance, child payment. I don't know. I don't remember. But what they currently do is the child tax credits.
Right.
And those are a whole thing where like I was listening to the Brunig's episode on this today, where you got it's a problem with these stuff in general, especially like programs that are supposed to help people who don't already have a ton of money. That you get them in one lump sum. Like if your employer said like we'll pay you once a year, would you like that? I would not. And so they've realized that with these child tax credits. So they're having a system where you file a pre-tax return of how much income you expect to make this year. And then on the first of each month, they give you a prorated amount. But then like if you're because how much you get is tied to what your income is. If you're like wrong about that, then you're going to have to pay them several $1,000s at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And just filing 2 tax returns sounds like a big kick in the nuts. Or you could just say everyone with a child gets $375 from the government at the first of the month. Yeah. Which one of those do you like?
Well, I mean, I know which one I think would work better.
Yeah.
And probably at the end of the day cost about the same.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to pay about the same and get much better returns, I mean, it's pretty
and
much
on some level,
so.
I know that this isn't how most people think, but if it's money well spent, then who cares how it costs? Like if it is going to generate the returns of a society that has children that are able to more freely contribute to the tax rolls because they've had a good foundation. Like I don't mean the children contributing to the tax rolls now. I mean whenever they grow up, they will contribute to the tax rolls. Then you can't misspend if you're spending it well. You know what I mean?
So it'll be interesting. I mean,
it's an investment.
I don't feel particularly optimistic, about how, now through the summer goes, but it's certainly an opportunity to stop and just be like, look, and maybe this crisis situation that we find ourselves in will be what shakes the party that we're forced to vote for into realizing that the old ways don't work anymore. Like maybe having to fix this. Now, I would say even in that case,
I feel
my
like
third level cynicism is even if they do it now, they will then be like, well, we had to do that then. So we're going to continue to go back to these, wonky means testing ways. But the best possible scenario is a Democratic executive branch with at least a slight majority in the legislative branch in a time of crisis, that the actions produce results, and that in some way carries into the way that they would like to govern 10 years from now. But
I can't believe we did pull off that old inside straight in Georgia. What an accomplishment. What an
You've got to
accomplishment.
stop referencing that.
I know the
like,
elections and generally Inside Straight, 'cause I know what it is now. I had people explain it to me.
Yeah, I think I mean the inside straight.
Okay.
I think
No, it's a common. I didn't know if you were just tired of talking. Georgia happened a while ago, dude. Shut up.
No. It's just your hackneyed gambling references that get trotted out one breadcrumb at a time.
No, dude, that's a common. You're in the wrong here. You'll find out. The mentions will let you know.
Okay.
You know how this goes. Yeah, no, it was cool that happened. So. Did you see about the San Antonio sheriff's deputy who was posting pictures from the Stop the Steal campaign?
I did not, but I saw a statistic that did not include law enforcement, but only included veterans that indicated that 1 in 5 people that had been arrested at the Capitol or, for their actions at the Capitol had all served. And that's like, we're leaving police out.
Yeah, I don't know.
7% of the American public has served in the military.
Yeah, but that
So
wasn't seven.
that's triple. So none of this is shocking to me, at all. And I think
I don't know
that's
what to make of it.
well, I think what you make of it is it's a problem that nobody wants to talk about.
But yeah, so
Big time.
I'll include myself in that. In this because I want to continue telling about this sheriff's deputy. So, somewhat dismayed whenever I learn this, right? We trust these people to act in a different way than that. But I'm not yet quite interested in the story, but I guess I'll keep reading. Sheriff says that it's his intent that she never set foot in this building again. Wants her out. I'm like, all right, still interesting, but not quite clear in the bar. Then I got to this sentence. Salazar also confirmed that to the TV station that the lieutenant had been on leave since October. Somewhat interesting. Pending an investigation into whether or not she had an inappropriate relationship with an inmate.
Ho, ho, ho!
We're talking about guards fucking inmates, Jake.
And then going to the Capitol.
And then go to the Capitol with the dentist.
Hey, the dentist. Maybe share a s'more or something.
They could have. They could have with the limbs of Nancy Pelosi's desk. Just made a bonfire out of them, and now they're roasting s'mores together.
She's a corrections officer.
She's a sheriff's deputy, but the sheriff's department runs the county jail in Texas situation. So yeah, her job was that she
corrections.
Yeah.
So how common do you think that is?
I mean, I bet that every single prison in America has had it happen at least once.
Is this a case for sexism?
Like, what do you mean?
Well, the problem I think we're going to run into here.
Which one are you saying is more likely?
Well, I think...
I don't know if I could...
So, test balloon.
Go ahead.
No firm ideas here. This is a think tank.
Yeah.
Just the general, extremely boilerplate, my dad's watching the news take of we can't have female guards at a male prison. Problem is... I don't know if we can have female guards at a female prison. So now we've effectively excluded an entire, 50% of the population of law enforcement from...
You just think it's in the way that the Boy Scouts attract a certain kind of deviant, that the female guard population would attract the same kind of deviant? But is that what you're... Why can't females guard females? If not for what I am saying.
Well, so I learned through Porn Stash on
Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, so
have you seen that Sesame Street, Jake?
I've not. Well, is he on it?
One of the ads, not the actor, but there's a puppet depicting him.
Really?
Yeah.
I've not. Although I do think it would be quite interesting to go back to season 1 of Sesame Street because I don't know how yours is, but mine defaults on HBO to season 1 every time. And I'm like,
yeah, I usually start with
50 over,
continue watching or whatever. But Megan's mom in particular is real dedicated to Izzy getting to know the classics. So yeah, I've seen some 70s Sesame Street for sure.
Yeah, I
Big
don't
fan
know.
of Elmo's Chicken Dream is the #1 rated.
Okay, I'll add it to the queue.
Yeah.
I don't really want to go any further on the why.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
They both present problems.
Not how a court works.
The idea
Your
of,
Honor, I would like for you to decide for me, but I'm uncomfortable with saying why.
the idea of how you police female inmates, very thorny to me.
I don't think it's that thorny, dude.
On both sides of it.
You know, I just disagree with your thing in general. I think that you should let people of all genders or no gender be guards for same.
And opposite.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Well, I just mean,
San Antonio would
anyways.
indicate otherwise.
The fact that like one person can't follow rules doesn't mean to me that like we just can't do yeah, you're gonna have some of that, but like if you have guards at all, some of them are going to commit corruption. I would not say that we eliminate guards.
Yeah, I would say less so than corruption.
Actually, I would eliminate guards.
And I
but
don't.
go
Of
ahead.
course you would. I don't think this is really. Again, I think this is like the least sexist thing I've said in the last 5 minutes. I think like at the very base level, the idea of prison, if you're in, is to get out.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to keep them in,
I would just be focused on reforming myself.
right, for the parole board.
No, just society.
Spiritually, yeah.
For society.
I think that might be like one of the very small pockets in society where it's actually okay to say, physically, it's just not okay for you to have this job. Because,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, you have a gun, so like that's where you start, right? Like
When you say physically, do you mean like you too fat to be a guard?
no. I mean like strength wise. Like the reason that like whenever you talk about like females,
Yeah, you
in
do
the,
need to restrain.
females in the military or even in like elite, like military, units. Those people very rarely. I'm not saying they're never engaged in hand-to-hand combat. They are occasionally, but largely they work in a team and they work planned ahead. And it's, I would say, much more about your gun than it is whenever you're on the A block, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any difference in the a male female like marksmanship. Like that doesn't make any sense to me at all. But if you are in close quarters and somebody has a situation where they can like literally overpower you, they're not going to get out. Obviously, somebody else is going to come up, but they might kill you. That worries me. Flat
Yeah,
out.
I don't care. He's a guard. I'll let you figure it out. I don't agree or disagree. I just know that one of the guards was fucking an inmate and also went to the Trump rally.
Yeah, I'm saying like that's a whole other deal. I get it, and that's one that's much more salacious. And look, the pederast Dennis was at the rally, so I don't know that we're gonna find any shortage of people that we find out were at the rally.
How
and
many
we're like,
pederasts do you think
"Jeez."
there were at the rally? More or less representative than the regular population?
Like with veterans,
Yeah.
higher.
Is it 3 times
is it 3
more
times
pederasts?
higher? I don't know. That's a good question.
We'll find out. Did you see the Irish CNN guy? What's his name? Donnie something? Donnie O'Sullivan. Is that it? Might be it. You don't believe me that there's a guy on CNN that's Irish?
That's about like you telling me John Roberts is not Protestant.
But
Donnie O'Sullivan. Let's see.
Donie, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here he is.
Yeah. Look at that. I was right. It is Donnie O'Sullivan.
Yeah. Sure.
There was a guy like live streaming from near the inauguration, starting like the night before.
Okay.
Like whenever Donnie found him, he walks up on him like the night before and is like,
Incredibly Irish to spell Donnie Donie.
"Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's the Gaelic way."
Yeah.
And the dude, he's wearing a cowboy hat and is like, ranting about like, you just wait, martial law, like predicting that martial law is like he's there to watch the opening of the martial law.
Right.
And
the opening of the martial law.
Asking a question, like how you think this is gonna go or whatever. And then they come back after Biden's already been sworn in, and he's still there. And he's still doing the same deal. And they're like, how do you feel? He's like, he starts with like, well, it could still be coming in a different way. But like they get him talking for about 15 seconds before he's like, I'm going to have to make a lot of different decisions about my life. I guess things are different than I thought that they were.
Man, like I know that shit is funny, but that's also, like we were talking about yesterday, that's also absolutely tragic.
You could see how tough it would be. Like if you put yourself in that in their shoes.
Bro. Or his family situation, like people that have probably been trying to talk to him about it for a little while.
Probably not precisely the same way I felt after the Michigan game in 2019. But
yeah, no.
I'd say
not at all.
Rough outline. I mean, it's the same thing. I thought we were one way. I thought we wouldn't get blown out 40-17. I thought that's the kind of people we were, and we're not. And I'm going to have to incorporate that understanding into my life going forward, and it's not going to be easy. It hasn't been easy. I'm still talking about it.
Maybe it was like a week and a half ago. It was definitely in between, yesterday and the Capitol. My dad, who was not online at all.
Mm-hmm. Which is not too bad. Deal. He could be.
He was like,
that, right?
I think it was like one day whenever they were bringing Nora back, he was like, hey, do you know anything about like the next couple days we're going to have like martial law?
I did hear that down at the gym.
He was like, a buddy of mine, he's like, he's an ex-Marine. He was telling me that like in the next couple days, he's like, there's going to be mass arrests and, the whole country's just going to go on lockdown. And, do you know anything about this?
Have you heard this? What are they saying,
God
Kev?
Damn it.
I
don't know how to explain this to you, but I appreciate you asking me.
Yeah. I like how that went.
Yeah, no, totally. He was not like bought in. He was just like, I had this guy calling me. He's like,
I got one source saying this. What are you saying? That's a reasonable way to approach that information. He was telling me to
take my money out of the markets and make sure my guns are, in working order.
What could he put it in though, Jake?
BTC, baby. Baby.
I think that's a little too complicated. I was looking for gold.
Oh, no. We moved on. But yeah, no, I was like, Dad, just please, before you believe or do anything like any of this, just do what you're doing right now and ask me about it.
How many coins you got right now?
Like a half.
Okay.
0.8.
So how have you been?
Like so like an eighth. Like so, I have like 0.37.
Doesn't sound like you've been adding a lot. Like that's where you were.
Yeah, I did. Like
I didn't know if you had a monthly. I'm gonna buy a little more coin every month.
I do have it set up on auto withdrawal.
Okay, you do.
The first and 15.
I just figured it would have been bigger than that at this point. Because I thought you had around that whenever this whole thing started.
Foolishly.
You sold?
About a year ago, I definitely took like $1,000 out. I was up against it. I'd sold you 30 shares of the bar. Yeah, the other day when I was at a pinch, I sold you 40. Yeah. But I feel good about it. I mean, it's clearly lost as the idea that it started. There's no chance that it'll ever become like a actual, currency. It's gold.
That's where you're at on this?
It's gold.
I don't know.
That's all it is. Like,
I guess we'll see.
But yeah, like I don't know on one hand,
I would just say I can't predict the future. I don't know either way. Like who knows what could happen?
Yeah, well, whatever.
Maybe we're just paying for stuff in buttholes.
Like I said, on one hand, the deal with my dad was like kind of disappointing, but on the other hand, you're right. I felt heartened that he was like,
I'm fine with it.
Hey, what do you know about this martial law?
I have good news and bad news.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you.
That's it for tonight. The high school special is next, so until tomorrow. For everyone who's been a part of this one,
I'm TC and Jake.
We do thank you for watching. Good night.